Welcome back to the Yaffee program. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Yes, I am Alabama's voice of reason, Huntsville's conservative conscience. And if you miss any of the show live, you can get your voice of reason throughout the day, really. You can follow me on social media at Yaffee on X or the Yaffee Facebook page, or go to our website, WVNN.com. Catch the podcast there. Joining me on the show right now is Congressman Barry Moore. He is also a candidate for the U.S. Senate. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on.
Yaffee, it's great to be on with the voice of reason, my friend.
Thank you. So there really is a lot to talk about. I did want to get your reaction to President Trump saying he's basically going to defund sanctuary cities or stop federal funds from going to sanctuary cities or sanctuary states. He had mentioned that yesterday. A lot of this is in reaction to what happened in Minneapolis, where an ICE agent acting in self-defense ended up killing Renee Good because it looked like she was going to hit him with her car. She actually did hit him with her car. What's your reaction to all this?
Well, I think it's perfect. I mean, it's what we voted for, right? I mean, literally, sanctuary cities don't want federal law enforcement, but they love federal dollars. And so I don't think you can have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to push back against federal law enforcement, against the federal law, and then in the next breath extend your hand wanting payouts from the federal government, I think President Trump's right, and I think he's using the leverage he has at his disposal to try to rein in some of this fraud and some of this anti-law, anti-American sentiment that's in so many of these sanctuary cities.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fraud, obviously talking a lot about Minnesota, Somali immigrants using COVID funds, other funds, and billions of dollars with the fraud. At least it appears that way. Do you think we're going to find out more about this?
Absolutely. I think that Nick Shirley's video just kind of opened a can of worms, and I guarantee if it's, and I don't know what the number is in Minneapolis, we don't know yet, but I can guarantee that California, New York, probably Illinois, many of these blue states, we're gonna find a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse. And Scott DeSantis said yesterday that he thinks that possibly 10% of a lot of federal funding and spending is fraudulent. And so I think what we did with the Secretary of State and moving the USAID underneath the purview of Rubio and his team allows for us to continue to help some of these countries and eliminate a lot of that fraud. But we have it here in America. It's not that money we're sending overseas. It's people that came from overseas that set up camp in this country and are just taking advantage of the U.S. taxpayers. And so it absolutely is the right thing to do. And I think that what we're seeing, Yaffee, is the tip of the iceberg. I think we'll see it, like I said, in some of these other blue states. And they have been robbing the American taxpayer, driving us into debt and abusing us and then resenting us for paying them. It's almost like they hate this country, but they love taking our money. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, my friend. But I promise you this is the tip of the iceberg. And we intend to fix.
Yeah, I know that President Trump has talked about California, New York. Maybe there are states that are doing this as well. We'll have to find out. Wouldn't surprise me. Now, back to Minnesota, though, of course, we have had the mayor of Minneapolis, Governor Tim Walz, other Democrats come out and say the ICE agent, who I believe shot in self-defense, reasonably feared for his life. They're calling him a murderer. They're saying this is murder and it's reckless abuse by ICE agents. What's your response to that kind of rhetoric?
Where were they when Laken Riley was killed? I mean, it's all political with these folks, and it has nothing to do with actually what's right for the U.S. and the American citizens. When they saw that it was an ICE agent, he was guilty of murder before even the videos were released, before even we saw any of the information. There was an investigation done, and now we saw the camera, the actual police cam that was on the agent. You can hear the vehicle hitting him, and so, and you see the wheels spin when she steps on the gas. It was justifiable, but it should have never happened. These leftists they're trained, they're paid, they come out and they harass our agents trying to do their jobs. And when you do that, there is inevitably going to endanger the citizens and the agents. And so, he acted in self-defense. I believe that. But the problem is, like I said, it just fit a narrative that they were looking to drive. And Waltz and the rest of them, I mean, we had members of Congress calling them murderers in Judiciary Committee the day after it happened without even seeing the video. And so it just shows you that it's not about justice. It's not about the right thing. It's about a political agenda. and it's demonizing law enforcement. They've been doing it for a long time, and every time a law enforcement officer in any of these cities has to react is to defend himself, depending on who it is, they immediately turn it into a political issue, and it's not really about protecting citizens. Like I said, if it was an illegal alien that shot a U.S. citizen, it wouldn't be in the media 24/7.
Man, that is a great point. I hadn't really thought of that, but you're exactly right. And I know that DHS, ICE, they kind of put out there some of the criminals that they've caught in these illegal immigrant raids that they're doing in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. I mean, some very dangerous criminals that are now being arrested and deported.
Yeah, and the left said, well, only 30% have criminal records. Well, 40% of those, in addition to the 30%, are already under, and we're already looking for them. We already know they've broken laws. And so they try to paint it like, oh, the ICE is arresting innocent people, and these are just people seeking asylum. That is not the case. That is a criminal element that has moved to this country under the guise of asylum seeking. And then they get here and they begin to defraud us. They begin to attack us. It makes the cities much less safe. And so when President Trump says, hey, you don't want law enforcement, federal law enforcement, then you don't get federal dollars, that's the lever he has. That's the lever he's pulling. And again, President Trump is serious about this. He ran on this. The American people voted for him to clean this country up, get these 20 million people out of here that are not just a criminal element. They're criminal, and some are violent crimes, and some are fraudulent. But at either way, they're a criminal element. It needs to be removed from the country. And so I appreciate the president doing what he said he was going to do, and the American people don't buy into what the media is selling. The left reports on this thing, like I said, nonstop. And it's just a narrative they're trying to drive to hurt law enforcement and to hurt the rule of law in this country.
Now, I've heard some members of the Democrat Party in Congress say they're going to defund ICE. I guess that's their new play after all of this. I'm guessing, though, they don't really have the votes, and that's not something that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, they don't have the votes, and it's not going to happen. And us, and we're going to hold the line as a Republican majority, as slim as that is. I think even some Democrats would be afraid to vote for that sort of thing. And look, this is the same party that, they told you didn't need a firearm to defend yourself in your home. Call the police, and then they defunded the police in these communities, and now they brought these people in. They've got these DAs and AGs that just release a criminal element right back out on the street in cash bail. And so they're not making the American people safe. The president is, and Congress intends to continue to fund the federal law enforcement agents that are needed to clean this mess up that was created by the prior administration, and we're going to do that.
Speaking with Congressman Barry Moore, he's also a candidate for the U.S. Senate. There is so much to talk about. I mean, one thing that might come up in a couple of weeks is a partial government shutdown. I know you've been calling for the Senate to abolish the filibuster rules, so to kind of prevent that kind of thing from happening. Anything new on that? Do you think a possible government shutdown is coming our way again?
I think Chuck Schumer would love to shut the government down, and whether or not it happens, we don't know, Yaffee. We're going to do what we can to keep it open and try to make sure that we fund the government and keep the economy moving in the right direction. But in Trump's first term, it was the House impeaching him for the week and distracting him from the America First agenda and really righting the direction of this country as a ship on the sea. I mean, it takes some time to turn this thing and correct it. So anything they can do to jam the gears, they're going to do. And so if Schumer can shut the government down to slow this process, he's going to do that. The reason I'm for nuking the filibuster is because I think if we want to secure these elections, to secure this border, and move these executive orders through the finish line and keep moving the country in the direction that the American people voted for in November, then we're going to have to look at nuking the filibuster. I don't know if we have the votes to do that. And look, years ago the Democrats didn't nuke it, but that's because you had Sinema and Manchin. They wouldn't go along with that. But I believe, and I think many of us know, that the minute, if and when the Democrats take the Senate, they're going to nuke it and drive this far left woke agenda again, right back like we saw under the prior administration. And so I would love to see us in the Senate nuke it and go ahead and move this securing our elections through this health care plan that we've got. There's so many things that we want to do. Many of these bills are out of the House. They're headed to the Senate. And we don't need to depend on 6 or 7 Democrats to fix it. Fetterman seems to be making more sense than most right now. But we're going to have a hard time with Schumer over in the Senate trying to hold up the president's agenda. And if he can shut the government down, I feel like he will. So We'll see. I hope he doesn't. I hope we can work around it, and I hope we can figure out the path to that. But I can assure you that if we nuked the filibuster, we wouldn't be shutting the government down, and the country would be much better for it.
Now, you had mentioned John Fetterman there. He's been one of the Democrats pretty supportive of Trump's foreign policy, and something that's definitely come up. You got historic protests going on in Iran right now. Trump has threatened to strike against the Iranian regime because they're killing innocent protesters. He was going to meet with them, canceled all the meetings. What do you think happens next here?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to see. I appreciate, it seems like Christians are being persecuted around the globe, and I think what he did in Nigeria was helpful. Obviously, snatching Maduro out of Venezuela freed those people from a tyrant that's been in control for 2 decades. But if we know one thing about this president, he doesn't make idle threats, and he means business. And so we'll see if Iran keeps slaughtering those people who are there protesting this regime and trying to win their liberty back. They've heard about liberty since '79, right? Since this regime took over, people in Iran have longed for liberty, and they've seen it around the world. They are hungry for liberty, and if they're going to get slaughtered for standing in the streets and just trying to say, we want our country back, we want opportunities, we want fair elections and freedom, then I would just not bet against President Trump. Like I said, he has been known to deliver on his promises, and we don't know exactly how that'll look, but I can assure you that the president does not make idle threats.
Speaking with Congressman Barry Moore, he's a candidate for the U.S. Senate. I do want to ask you not only how your campaign is going, but how do you think Republicans look for the midterms? It's always hard for the party in power to keep that power, the first midterms of a presidency. But how do you think things are looking?
I think it depends a lot on what we do between now and the election. But the recent polling we saw is that we actually have a 66-point spread in the sense of Republicans approving the job we're doing as opposed to Democrats approving of the job their Congress is doing. And so that's the biggest spread since polls have been taken. And if I can't remember the pollster on that, but they're not always Republican friendly. The speaker told us. So it looks like we have a great opportunity. And look, it's very rare that a Republican president wins every swing state, wins a popular vote, wins the electoral like he did. And so I think that there is a mandate for us to deliver on the president's agenda. If we can do that, and we can show the American people that we're going to do that, and affordability is an issue, but as we saw, gas prices are down, $2.49 a gallon. That's the lowest we've seen in 5 years. 401ks are up 20%. We've got these tax cuts that are going to be visibly noticeable on people's tax returns on April 15th. Those are the kind of things, if we can continue to run on the record, deliver for the American people, I think we've got a great shot in the midterms.
Congressman Barry Moore, really appreciate you coming on the show as always. I know we'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Thank you, Yaffee. See you.
All right. There you go. If you want to react to any of that, we have our text line, the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. You can tell me how you think the Supreme Court is going to rule when it comes to protecting women's sports. You can tell me if you think Trump is going to strike Iran. Will the regime fall? You can tell me what you think about Governor Kay Ivey's State of the State speech, all on the text line. I'll read it next, 866-494-9866. We have some breaking news to cover as well. I'll get to that in a moment. Stay with us here on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret. With Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
American Skyjacker tells the story of D.B. Cooper copycat Martin McNally, who hijacked a plane and jumped out with $500,000. But that's just the start of this epic true crime saga. Now, American Skyjacker is an action-packed documentary available on all major platforms. Go to AmericanSkyjacker.com to subscribe to the podcast and watch the film, and look out for a new bonus episode of the podcast coming soon. American Skyjacker. Follow and listen on your favorite platform. American Skyjacker tells the story of D.B. Cooper copycat Martin McNally, who hijacked a plane and jumped out with $500,000. But that's just the start of this epic true crime saga. Now, American Skyjacker is an action-packed documentary available on all major platforms. Go to AmericanSkyjacker.com to subscribe to the podcast and watch the film, and look out for a new bonus episode of the podcast coming soon. American Skyjacker. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.